This is going to be a presentation of the book of Galatians. For this video, I will be using the NIV 1984 version. Though multiple versions can be used, the Marcionite Reconstruction below is the most simple understanding of Galatians. Several months ago, I ran across Clement of Alexandria. I'm going to skip over some of these larger quotations. However, feel free to pause the video. In Stromata, Book 1, Chapter 22, Clement talks about the Ezra reconstruction of the Torah around 450 BCE. According to Clement, the Torah was destroyed during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar and reconstructed during the time of Ezra. I track this tradition to the Babylonian Talmud Sanhedrin 21b. This passage speaks of the Ezra reconstruction of the law of Moses. Now, Sanhedrin 21b spoke of the concept of going up. In essence, going up, according to the Babylonian Talmud, is figurative. Going up means some version of speaking with God. The Babylonian Talmud claims that Moses went up to get the law and Ezra went up to reconstruct the law. This is a Jewish interpretation of Ezra 7:6. This going up, according to Judaism, meant that Ezra was talking to God. This is a vision or some other divine inspiration. Fast forwarding to the book of Galatians, this book mentions Jerusalem 5 times. The first 3 times, Paul mentions going up to Jerusalem. The 4th time Jerusalem is mentioned, Paul presents a dichotomy between the free Jerusalem in heaven and the slave Jerusalem on earth. The 5th time Jerusalem is mentioned, it is only a reference to the free Jerusalem in heaven. The book of Galatians is a book of visions. Every time Paul says that he went up to Jerusalem in this book, he literally had a vision of heaven. In Galatians 1:18 through 20, Paul states that he had a vision that included Peter and James. The final verse begs the reader to believe that Paul is not lying. But why would he lie about meeting Peter and James? The simple answer is, Peter and James are dead. Peter and James have been dead for a while, and Paul is claiming that he had a vision of them. In the Marcionite translation online, these visions are much more simple to see. In Galatians 2:1-2, Paul states, "Then 14 years after, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and took Titus with me also. And I went up by revelation, and communicated unto them that gospel which I preach among the nations." This is Paul's second vision of Jerusalem, and he specifically says that this is a vision. Paul is using the spirit of revelation, or apocalypse, to speak to dead people. Galatians was not supposed to be taken literally. Paul is simply telling people of his visions in Galatians. Paul is speaking to dead people. The Marcionite version does not include the 4th and 5th Jerusalem mention. However, the allegories are roughly the same. Paul makes a dichotomy. In this book, Paul didn't go to Jerusalem. He just had a vision of the New Jerusalem. In Galatians, Paul did not meet with Peter or James. Paul came after them. The best he could do is claim that he went up to heaven and spoke to the dead. Paul had a new vision for the Christian church, and that is what Paul talks about in his letters. Was Paul lying? It is difficult to say. Anyone who claims to have visions probably has other issues besides lying. Paul believed that visions were real. Dreams, daydreams, staring at stars, even basic thoughts could be visions. So again, it's difficult to say that Paul is lying.